Hi, Malcolm. You're just going to be on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, there you are.
So I'm trying to do 1,000,001 things all at the same time whilst I'm getting ready.
You're like, how are you though?
I'm fine. So Jack's decided to swan off, has he, for a few days?
How unreasonable of him. Why he thinks he's entitled to leave, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
But he's having a well-deserved putting his feet up, I think.
Right,
so
enough.
He's helped me out enough with an evening CPD seminar. I thought I'd repay the favour.
Right. Okay.
So we're waiting on Rich and Matt, aren't we, for the speakers?
Oh, we are indeed. Yes. I'm just looking at the ones that are waiting at the moment. Just hang fire on those that are waiting at the moment.
Yeah, I'll keep them outside.
Yeah.
Are you fine if we'll aim to start for past as advertised, but I'll wait for you to give me the go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, just generally it's generally not dead on 4:30, but it's a few minutes either way.
It won't hurt them.
It won't hurt.
And I've set all the speakers all of the attendees, their cameras are off and their microphones are on mute and they can't change that.
Wonderful. Thank you, because
and
the number of times when it happens and you see them and then they wander off. And I think
I've had one guy snoring before, and of course Teams puts whoever's making noise to the front of the camera, and there was just this guy snoring with his head off on screen. Oh.
Yeah.
That was in the early days of the pandemic, I think, when we were all grappling with this.
Indeed.
But
Indeed.
And then so they can put anything they want in the chat. I've set it to record automatically, so it's running now, though of course we'll scrub this bit.
Yes.
And then are you fine? Obviously, I won't be able to stay around to the end because CIBSE's offices will
that's
close.
fine. Well, I'm hoping we'll get finished sort of 5:30, 5:45. Anyway.
But if I just set you up, I'll stay online listening for the first 15 minutes in the background. If anyone shouts, so then I'll leave you to it. And at the end, just tell them to leave and you can go. And this will kick them off the recording after 4 hours. But there's always some people who just shut the laptop and it shows them still there.
Yeah, well, I think I've managed to find a way of chucking them off anyway. So
good. You'll have to
because
share
generally I like to have a bit of a chat with the presenters afterwards as well, with out of earshot, shall we say? So I'm getting a bit worried. Let me give Richard.
Shall I call them? I'll see if I can dial them in. Okay. I've sent them both requests to join, so it'll call them through Teams.
Right.
And if generally not, you can give them a bell.
Yeah, generally what happens, I'll do a very quick introduction about what SoPHE's all about, and then I hand the virtual floor over to the presenters, and they go.
Make them do that.
Hello, Matt. Matt,
we're just
how you doing? How you doing? Right?
Yeah. Where's the main man?
The main man is about. I was just with him then. I don't know if he knew that he should be here yet.
Well, he should be. I spoke to him this morning.
Okay, so I think he was just trying to call you actually then. So where is he? He's definitely ready to go, and he's got his presentation next to him.
Should I try calling him again?
Yeah, do that again, and then he'll join.
Oh, it says he's online now anyway.
Is that him? I hear some beeping.
Yeah, he's waiting in the lobby. Ella.
Is he?
Yes.
He might have joined on a different profile. Let me just.
There's
the man. There he is.
Put your microphone on, man.
Hiya.
All right.
According to this, you've been on the call for 25 minutes.
Well, you know.
They've been panicking, Rich. They thought maybe you were on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, I wish. It's the sun is coming through the window, I have to say, which is quite pleasant
nice
for
one.
once in a while.
Right,
Malcolm, are you recording?
Yeah, go on. Yes, we are recording at the
this
moment.
session?
Yeah,
Will it be available for us at the end?
Is that okay?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it's okay. The only request I have is that you can let me have a copy at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, it'll take some time, just because these things take time to edit. We're going to scrub the first 25 minutes because no one wants to see me and Malcolm wittering on. But yeah, when it's ready to be put on the CIBSE website, we'll make it available.
Brilliant. Okay. I will open my slide if that's okay, or do you need? Have you got a slide first, Malcolm?
I don't have a slide, but I'll do a quick quick introduction before you start. But just really a case of, can you just check to make sure that yours is showing and you can move from slide to slide, etc.
And you haven't got any video in it, have you?
We have no video in our presentation.
I can relax.
It's all me, Ella. It's all me.
Perfect.
And obviously, I'll turn my camera off as well when you started, Rich.
Yeah.
Matt, whilst Richard's talking, are you going to answer any questions that turn up on the chat box, or are you going to sort of answer the questions at the very end?
I'll be watching the chat box, and I can put answers into the chat.
Right.
I've covered that off in my intro, Malk. So
right. Okay. All right. I don't need to say anything about that then as well. Brilliant. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to share? Do you want to share then Rachel?
Immediately.
Yeah. Just briefly share it, and let's see if it works. Brilliant.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. Can you just sort of move to two or three slides? Yeah. Yeah. God, who is that handsome fella? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, mate.
I'll pay you later, Malcolm.
All right.
All right. So is that okay? You're quite happy that I'm going to run through reasonably swiftly?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you on for the whole presentation, Ella?
I won't be. I'll stick around and I'll hover in the background for the first 5 or 10 minutes just to make sure everything's working once we're live. And then I'll leave you to it. But to be honest, Teams is so simple. If anything goes wrong, just log off and log back on again. That is pretty much the only thing you can do.
Yeah, well, we're at that time when America are all getting out of bed, isn't it? So around between 4 and 5 p.m, I think America are all waking up. So it might just slow down a little bit, but I'm sure we'll be fine.
Indeed.
Sure, we'll be fine.
Indeed. Okie dokie then. All right. Right.
Will you also, Malcolm, just one last thing. Will you also be able to get me an attendee list?
Ella, that's up to you. That's a question for you,
Ella.
Ella.
I can share an attendee list. It won't. It will only have names, and however, it won't have any contact details on. So it depends what you are looking to use it for. If you want to send,
you're quite keen on GDPR, aren't you? No, it's really just a visibility of who's there. Generally, the majority of the attendees will know anyway, but I just wondered whether you could let me have a list of names.
I can send you a list of names. I can do that. I'll do that when we've got the webinar started on online.
Brilliant. Okay. Aidan didn't mess around, did he? He was first on.
There are some names I do see very early on every webinar, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we've got 100 registered. A reminder email went out to them a few minutes ago, so they'll probably filter through during the intro. But Malcolm, just say the word, and as soon as you're ready, I'll turn my camera off and let everyone in.
Well, Rich, are you ready?
I'm ready, Malcolm. Is my hair right?
Yeah, right. Okay. Less said about that. Right. Well, Ella, yeah, you might as well let them in. I'll sort of make a quick intro and just let them keep them waiting a few more minutes, shall we say, before we actually physically start.
It'll take a minute for them all to filter through. But have a lovely webinar.
Am I right, Malcolm? You'll carry on admitting people, won't you?
Yes.
Right. That's fine.
Yep.
As long as I don't have to do it.
So they enter automatically now.
Right. Great stuff. Oh, afternoon to those that have just joined us. If you'd like to just wait a few more minutes, see who else is going to join us, and then we will make a start. We'll give it another minute or two, and then we shall start this presentation. Right, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this next SoPHE Global CPD. This is a presentation given to us by Richard Smith from PAM Building, who are part of Gobain. Before he takes the virtual floor, can I, for those of you who don't know myself, I'm Malcolm Atherton. I'm the SoPHE Northern representative, and on a temporary basis, I represent SoPHE for the West Midlands out of Birmingham as well. The Society of Public Health Engineers, we were founded approximately 20 years ago or so. We are affiliated to CIBSE, hence the reason why a lot of you would have received notifications about this from CIBSE. And our primary aim, is to provide a higher profile and focus for PH engineers within CIBSE and also within the wider building services industry. As well as providing these technical events, both virtually and in person, we do other things like trips to factories in various different countries. And being based here in the north, I'm afraid it's a case of when we refer to anything that's international, it's anything south of Watford Gap. So we have a number of different representatives. As I say, I represent the north and temporarily the West Midlands, but we also have David Cerisi, who does the southwest, and Stuart Brown in London, and also Les Wilson over in New Zealand. We have roughly over 1,000 members worldwide, and we have 72 industrial associate members. Industrial associate members are basically manufacturers, Saint-Gobain being one of them, along with various others which I won't name here. And on that front, I now give the floor to a good friend of mine, Richard Smith. Rich, it's all yours.
Thanks, Malcolm. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for attending today. The presentation's planned to last around 40 minutes. If you've got any questions, please use the chat and we'll endeavour to answer as we go along. There'll also be an opportunity for questions at the end. I'm Rich Smith, Specification and Sales Team Manager for PAM Building. I look after the UK outside of the South East. I started working for PAM Building in 2005, and I've got over 30 years experience in the drainage industry. I'm here today to give you an insight into our sustainability journey so far and how it's driving our desire to innovate. The presentation is going to be split into two parts: what lies ahead for us and our planet, the megatrends that affect humanity at a global level, how they're rapidly imposing a transformation on the construction sector. And I think you'll all agree that the construction sector is transforming pretty much on a daily basis at the moment. How do we mitigate the impact of construction on the built environment? What we at PAM are doing to strive to make the world a better home. The second part of the presentation will explain more about understanding emission scopes and what they are. What is circularity and the circular economy? Protecting the environment with a life cycle analysis, how using EPDs will help you, and we need to understand how to compare and select those materials in an informed way. We'll look at finishing by explaining a little bit more about how we used our time on this journey so far as well. So with the expanding population, rising demand for food, energy and materials continue to strain the planet's finite resources. The need for solutions that improve energy efficiency, reduce food waste and provide alternatives to scarce resources have never been greater. The difference between 1.5 degrees and 3 degrees Celsius in global warming means vastly different scenarios for all of us and the future. So keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees is often regarded as the point of no return for climate change. Huge floods, widespread species extinction, lethal droughts will all become commonplace. Are we actually already seeing this starting to happen? Our survival on this planet and our planet hinges on just these few degrees. The only response to the threat posed by climate change is to decarbonate the economy worldwide. A drastic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by an average of 1.4 billion tonnes per year by 2050 is needed. The construction sector plays a key role in this challenge. The increasing time spent indoors is redefining expectations for buildings. Requirements are increasingly stringent in terms of health and comfort in every dimension, and that means noise, temperature, light, aesthetics, and of course, air quality. In November 2022, the world population exceeded 8 billion people. Today, most of us live in cities, which account for more than 60% of energy and natural resource consumption. More than 70% of greenhouse gas emissions also come from our cities. Digitization and digital transformation continues to exert and place a significant influence on the evolution of all industries and economic sectors in which Saint-Gobain also operates. The design of buildings is based more now on the digital model on site. Technology like 3D scanning and photogrammetry bring with them a new understanding of reality. 3D modeling, most of you, I'm sure you're already involved with on site, and how this can help visualize for your clients what projects look like in the future. During construction itself, the digital technology enables those new operating methods, such as modern methods of construction and design for manufacture and assembly. Resources are becoming increasingly scarce due to consumption that's tripled over the last 50 years. The construction sector plays an essential role due to its consumption of natural resources. And we're talking here about water, about minerals, sand, and other base materials. Our buildings themselves have a huge impact on the environment. Today, they represent a third of all greenhouse gas, or GHG, emissions. Buildings and construction are accountable for around 40% of all carbon emissions, and by 2060, it's predicted we'll be using double the amount of raw materials that we are today. Energy demand as a result will increase by 12% by 2030, and when we measure the impact that systems have on buildings, we need to look at whole life carbon emissions to get the full understanding. We then measure that impact throughout the entire lifespan of the building, and this includes both embodied and operational carbon. Embodied carbon refers to the quantity of CO2 embedded in the materials themselves that are used to construct and maintain the building throughout its life. That generally is down to material extraction, the manufacture, construction, and then you're looking at the end of the life of the building, where we will have demolition and end of life disposal or recycling. In order to achieve the Paris Agreement commitment limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, we need to urgently focus on some key areas in order to dramatically reduce whole life carbon emissions of our buildings, which include reducing the embodied carbon in the material it's installed in the building and improving the building fabric. So whether it's the bricks, blocks, insulation, tiles, rain screen, the drainage materials that go in, the floor, construction types, everything needs to be considered. Optimizing energy efficiency within the building itself and running the building during its life, and then looking to switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources, which I think most of you in the design sector are already looking to do. So from sourcing to manufacturing, distribution to the end of the life, the challenge is to reduce the carbon emissions over the whole building's life cycle. But products also go to landfill due to the built environment. They play a significant part in our vision to fully decarbonise the sector. Landfill counts for 11% of global methane emissions. And looking at this slide, you can probably understand why. Mixed with everything, there's no visible recycling in certain areas, and it's a real problem. A massive 13% of all products delivered to construction sites are actually sent directly to landfill. They're not even used on site. So some are brand new materials that have been manufactured, supplied on a skip, on a pallet, and end up going straight into the skip. The challenge for all of us is to design a less resource intensive way and reduce construction and demolition waste to landfill, ideally to zero. PAM Building is part of the Saint-Gobain group, as Malcolm mentioned earlier. As a group, we work towards net zero carbon by 2050. Our sustainability roadmap sets out ambitious targets which take us to 2030, including plans to decrease our CO2 in our manufacturing and increase our recyclability of products. And I've got a little slide on that later. We look to support our customers and their sustainability journey. Our 2030 roadmap is to reduce CO2 emissions by 1/3 for Scope 1 and Scope 2 in the future, And just to clarify, Scope 1 is emissions directly from our company burning fossil fuels. Scope 2 is indirect emissions from purchased electricity. So there is good news. Globally, Saint-Gobain has already reduced its Scope 1 and 2 CO2 emissions by 27% since 2017, including a 5% reduction in 2022 to 9.8 million tonnes. Construction's transforming, and so are we. Our vision at Saint-Gobain is to be a worldwide leader in light and sustainable construction, and we're delivering this in our bid to make the world a better home. Saint-Gobain is actively contributing to pursue a more sustainable future, and the decisions that we make today, we endeavour will shape the world that we leave for future generations. So I want to talk a little bit more about our targets, certainly to 2025. And these targets were set with a baseline of 2010 and looking to reduce our Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions. See here, 20% overall carbon emission, non-recovered waste reduction, industrial water release reduction, and obviously looking to minimise our impact on biodiversity. So how did we do? Well, PAM Building manufacture across 2 plants. Our UK plant based in Telford has had a massive reduction in CO2, mainly through our Scope 2 emissions reductions in electricity sourcing, but we've managed to get our CO2 down by 81%. Our waste to landfill is 0, and we've made some good savings as far as wastewater are concerned. Our French counterparts at Bayard are along a similar roadmap with slightly less in CO2 reduction, but the plan is to move their gas plant, which obviously has the highest impact, onto green electricity, and that will have a massive impact. The 19% reduction in waste landfill is already from a low base, so we've got it's actually a very good result in 19% reduction, and they're already well on a good journey to wastewater recycling. So moving on to section 2, which I outlined earlier, and talking about our categorization of GHG scope 1, scope 2. The categorization doesn't apply to the carbon footprint, or PCF, which describes the total amount of emissions generated by products or services that cover different stages of its life cycle. So you can see scope 1, 2 and 3 in upstream activity, which include business travel for scope 3, for example, and our electricity, heating and cooling from our own use. The indirect scope 3 I've not mentioned before, but that more is of indirect value chain emissions. So where we're talking about employees commuting to and from work, business travel on the upstream side, but downstream would be processing of sold products, use of sold products, leased assets as an example, are also in scope 3. So there are a number of different factors that we have to look at with regard to our scoping. It's critical that the construction industry moves from a linear take, make, dispose model, as you can see here on the left, to a more circular economy. Thankfully, metals like cast iron are well aligned to the circular economy, with 99% recycled content and then 100% recycled at the end of life with no loss of performance. Life cycle analysis, or LCA, provides an effective method of assessing environmental impacts of a particular product. It also covers the service or process as well. LCA goes beyond the carbon footprint, since it allows for the analysis of multiple impacts. This analysis is used to evaluate the environmental impact of the product or service throughout its life cycle. That's from the moment it's actually manufactured to the moment it becomes recycled. This helps protect the environment, means there's an understanding of the product's full cycle, which helps us as individuals and engineers focus on the overall impact on the environment. We routinely adopt eco-design and eco-innovation principles to our procurement policies and how we manage and measure and reduce our carbon emissions as a result. The EPD itself is an independently verified registered document that communicates transparent and comparable information about the life cycle environmental impact of the products in a credible way. The EP document is valid for 5 years. After this period, it needs to be updated and verified again. And it's really important to highlight at this point, the EPD declarations that are getting on now for 5 years old need to be considered when you're requesting this information. Always check the expiry date. They should be in date and certainly within a 5-year expiry period. We've highlighted the main 5 sort of impacts from the table that are published in every EPD. So you'd need to consider the general information, product description, the calculation information on the LCA, the life cycle stages, and the LCA results. To get the most of our EPD comparisons, there are a lot of things to consider. Just a few examples would be the EPD type, which looks at an industry-wide product-specific calculation. The indicators, of which there are around 18, where the EPD's assessment takes place. You need to know exactly which ones you want to focus on, and if you're making comparisons with other materials, are you using the same units to compare against? What the system boundaries are when installed, will auxiliary materials be required? If you consider things like insulation or fire protection as an example, would there be a supporting EPD for that information as well? I mentioned before about the date of the document. It's always important to check the expiry. Life cycle stages, what are the steps included in the EPD, from the sourcing of the material, where the source is geographically, to the production or end of life sourcing point. There's also the geographical scope, which I mentioned, and it gives you the manufactured country of which the EPD product is originated. So with everything that we talked about previously, Ensign Agilium is a new system that we released in July this year, taking into account all of the requirements and the social responsibilities that we have with sustainability. The Agilium system offers a 30% weight reduction in material and a 20% reduction in CO2 embodied. The performance, however, for sustainability, while it improves, the fire safety remains the same as an A1 rated system. Acoustic information is the same, and we've also looked at being able to improve efficiencies on site with time installations, which I'll come on to a little bit more. As far as the carbon reduction is concerned, I just want to give you a little comparison between our existing Ensign system with 11.2 kilos of carbon per metre versus a 9 kilo per metre carbon figure for the Ensign Agilium. This is an average taken over pipe and fittings. With all the PAM Building EPDs, we take an average carbon reference point for pipe and fittings, including brackets, couplings, and so forth. It's always worth considering that you're getting a full system visibility on your EPD rating. The environmental performance speaks for itself. It's 99% recycled and can be infinitely recycled without any loss of performance. I mentioned acoustic performance earlier. This is some data that we've had produced from the Fraunhofer Institute based on the EN 14366 standard for laboratory testing of noise in materials. Our airborne noise is published at 2 and 4 litres a second for both airborne sound transmission and structure and airborne sound transmissions, which you can see here. Because there's been a reduction in weight, we've also looked at reducing product size to assist with our carbon reductions and weight reductions. The net impact of this is that comparing existing Ensign with the new Ensign Agilium systems, you can design in less space. There's a 2.3 centimetre saving on this particular application. We're also demonstrating larger savings by using different fittings types, which we have available in the range themselves. I would encourage anybody on this call to get in contact with us if you are struggling with space in ceiling voids. We can help you out significantly. Our pre-assembly range of short stacks also offers weight reduction. When I talk about installed cost, time is money, and as a result of this, contractors are now more attracted to reductions in weight for pre-assembled systems being installed in buildings. You can see here for this SA009 stack type that we've actually taken over 2 kilos out of the stack weight itself, making the system much more handleable on site, quicker, and therefore cheaper to install. Always something worth considering. These pre-assembled stacks are also available in Revit blocks. Again, just give us a call, drop us a line, let us know. We can help you out with that. So we've been on a journey to decarbonize. We're on a journey to help the environment and save the planet. I know it's there may be one or two of you smiling wryly to yourselves about the statement, but we feel very strongly about it. We engaged with a client, SoPHE, recently on a project they had in London where a time saver soil system, which was installed back in 1981, was looked at for reuse rather than recycling. SoPHE's key drivers were looking at the circular economy and what we could do to assist them with that, reducing their carbon impact on the overall installation of renewing the soil system internally, and obviously taking into account the building safety while on site as well. We took a sample pipe from the project, and you can see from these slides the internal and external condition of the product itself. These samples were then taken away and tested in Manchester, where we came back with several areas of a sort of a worst case to best case scenario after cleaning and making sure that the iron itself was good for reuse. This information here gives you some average wall thickness compared to minimums, and those are based on the ensign diameter wall thickness at the moment. This is ensign, not Agilium, bear in mind, a 3.5 millimeter wall thickness. So actually, after 50 years of life, there's still quite a long expectancy left in the old time saver system. The report was completed, and we went on to offer some refurbishment trials to SoPHE. So the product went through a cleaning process. We looked at then recoating the product itself. It was inspected for testing, and the testing was done in accordance with the EN 877 standards. There are one or two limitations at the moment to this process. The length of pipes that we are currently in a position to refurbish are 1.2 meter lengths, but in an existing building construction type, taking out horizontal suspended drainage runs, the vertical runs tend to be not more than 1.2 meters. And with the advent of design systems now looking for access pipes at slightly different level perhaps, or the inclusion of a condensate drain at high level, there's every opportunity to be able to work with 1.2 meter lengths. So this was one of our limitations. We are currently investigating methods for reconditioning pipes up to 3 meters. So moving forwards and into the future, we feel confident that this is going to be an area we will be able to bring to the market quite comfortably. With new gaskets and fixings in all of the couplings, we were able to essentially supply a new for old upcycled drainage system. So once we've done all this work, considering that we've got a CO2 per meter rating of 9 for ensign Agilium, The output from the LCA calculation on the 50-year-old time saver system being refurbished came out at between 2.2 and 2.5 CO2e per metre. That included dismantling from site, transportation of product back to our works at Telford, the coating burning process, which is where the old coatings need to be removed from the product themselves, and that will also include a certain amount of decontamination. The shot blasting, recoating and curing process were also included and calculated in this 2.2 to 2.5 kilogram figure. So thanks very much for attending today. I hope we've given you a bit of insight into our sustainability journey, which is one of product innovation and improving the world in the future. If there have been any questions, I haven't been keeping an eye too much on the chat. If you've got any questions now, we'd be happy to take them on the floor.
Doesn't appear to have been any. You've astounded them there, Rich, I'm afraid.
I didn't hear any snoring, so that's fantastic.
Just a question for me. Obviously, in this day and age, you know, the important thing is cost. You know, you talked about things like the refurbishment of existing pipe work. I mean, how does the cost of refurbing it against complete replacement, you know, is there a physical money cost wise in refurb as opposed to?
I'll ask Matt to join the conversation, because Matt's been involved in this process from beginning to end. He may be able to answer that question. Matt?
Always comes down to cost, doesn't it, Malcolm?
I'm afraid so, Matt. Apologies.
We're happy to save the planet, but we don't want it to cost anything.
Exactly.
So the answer is it's actually cheaper than buying new. So it costs us less because we're not melting.
Right.
As you can imagine, the majority of our cost is in melting the scrap to make iron. So because we're avoiding that process, the majority of the cost ends up being the cleaning exercise that we have to go through. And actually the complication is around the pipes. So the answer is it would be lower cost, and this client will be getting a system that would be between 5 and 15% probably lower than buying new.
Right. But obviously, time-wise, it probably takes slightly longer, am I guessing, to refurbish as opposed to replace?
Yeah, so we need to plan with the customer.
Yeah.
So we do it in batches. So this particular example, the project we're working on at the moment, is 300 meters of pipe and fittings between 50 and 150 mil. Okay. And we would try and get all of that back in one full load. And then we'd be doing the cleaning process in batches. And we would do that to the program of the customer. So if the customer required to do the first floor to begin with, we know the bill of quantities of product required, and therefore we do that batch initially. So you wouldn't be talking a matter of weeks. We would, within a fortnight, we'd be ready to go, having collected the product.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Are there any?
We do have a question from Douglas. Thanks very much, Douglas, about the affected warranty. The product itself is, as I mentioned in the presentation, is recoated and tested to the EN 877 standard. By nature, that test process gives it the same warranty and protection as the Ensign soil system would if you were buying it off the shelf. Hope that answers the question.
I like this. It's a very commercial question, isn't it? So let me just cover off the last bit of that warranty question. Something we've started to offer the marketplace is a 10-year warranty on our pre-assembled stacks. And actually, in this example, it suits the project for us to pre-assemble the refurbished product. So not only are we refurbishing it, but then we're pre-assembling it ready to go, and then it will go to site. And in the circumstances where we are pre-assembling, we're happy to provide a 10-year warranty as long as we've got a relationship with the contractor and we've trained them. So we would offer the same thing, and the reason for it is these days the life of a product is very much about the coating of the paint, and obviously we've got control over that coating, so we've got confidence in what we're doing. So how do you maintain your own company's profits and keep shareholders happy if you're not selling new products all the time? The future is about solutions. If we just sold products, we'd be gone in a few years. So Saint-Gobain's strategy is to deliver solutions, so solve problems. And if we don't move in that area, it won't be relevant to you anymore. So the way we keep our shareholders happy is to stay relevant. And to give you a good example, so in London, the Greater London Authority now requires a circularity statement to be completed prior to giving planning permission. And clients and project teams will have to be going through this process, sitting around the table at stage 1 and 2, and coming and finding out how the hell are they going to use loads of reused product. So we actually feel as though for us to be successful and make profits, we've got to be the ones solving those problems. And there are examples where it's happening at the moment already, but it's not happened within drainage systems. It has happened with steel. So steel being a big component in terms of embodied carbon. Projects like Elephant and Castle are using a lot of reused steel. We know that there is a real driver for it, and for us to make a profit, we need to solve those sorts of problems.
Thanks, Douglas. Not sure if there are any other questions from the floor.
No, nothing at the moment.
Wonderful. I'm not going to wait you around. If there are no more questions, thanks, guys. See you later. I'm grabbing my coat.
Right. Well, I mean, unless there are any more questions, Rich, Matt, thank you very much indeed. Grateful for doing it. An insight into what you guys are up to. Very thought-provoking as well, obviously. And unless anybody else on the floor should happen to have any questions, I will say good afternoon, good evening to everyone, and thank you for joining. Matt, Rich, if you can just hang fire, please. I'll just have a quick chat afterwards once everybody's gone.
No problem. Thanks, everyone.
Douglas has got more questions now. Would have to be specified reused products, or do you get them by default? We'd have to work with a client if you're still there, Douglas. Yeah. So you have to work with a consulting engineer and the client from an early stage for it to work. That'd be a pleasure, Douglas. Why don't you drop me a note?
Yeah, look forward to it.
They don't want to go, do they?
It's all right.
Thinking of questions.
There you go. They're all gone.
Thanks, Malcolm. I think I probably finished that a little earlier than I was anticipating.
Right. Not to worry. Not to worry.
I didn't specifically have a time on it, but I'm sure.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You peaked at 37
attendees.
Yep.
Peaked at 37. That's good. I don't know if that's a good turnout, whether it's a usual sort of number.
You're not the lowest, but obviously you're not the highest.
No, I can imagine.
But no, I mean, I think I may have said this before. These sort of virtual CPDs, there's an awful lot of people who just aren't bothering anymore. They want the face-to-face, which is why my last virtual one is actually next month. I don't have any virtual CPDs after next month.
I was with the guys over at DSSR yesterday in Harrogate, and they were saying that they would like a face-to-face CPD, and they would probably open it up to the other offices from there via Teams. So clearly the sort of stuff that you guys are doing, they would be doing that individually now.
Yes.
So it's useful.
Yeah. Well, they've only got 2 PH engineers, and they're both in Glasgow office.
Yeah.
Because I met them the other week.
It's Dave Stewart, isn't it? One of the lads.
Yes.
Dave Stewart. Yeah.
Dave Stewart. Yeah. Yeah. He probably won't remember. He had one or two too many beers.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a good guy.
So, yeah. But otherwise, no. Ella's sent you it's the full attendance list. So obviously, not everybody on that list actually physically attended.
No. How do you deal with the certificates? I take it you will send something out.
Because it's CIBSE who effectively organise this and have run it, they automatically register who's attended,
right?
And so it will appear on people's records for CIBSE. So we don't we don't bother with issuing. No, we don't bother with any issuing of physical certificates anymore.
Okay.
In this sort of thing.
Right, no problem.
Okie doke. Other than that, thanks, guys. And I've got to get myself ready for a guy who's hopefully going to make some decent wardrobes.
Right. Well,
I thought you were going to say money. It's going to make you some money.
Oh no, I'm going to have to spend some money.
Oh goodness. Right. Well, good luck, Malcolm. Thanks for that. Really appreciate it. And
you're welcome.
How will you get? How do I get the recording?
Give Ella 48 hours, and then when you go on to the CIBSE website, if my memory serves me right, it's towards the left-hand side of the web page. It talks about recent recordings.
Okay, right, that's no problem. I'll email her towards the end of the week as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Malcolm. Have a great evening.
And you, sir. All right.
Cheers for now.
Cheers, Matt.
Cheers, Malcolm.
Bye now.
See you. Nice to see you. Bye.